Welcome to the podcast series during Retail Media Summit UK, brought to you by Kevel. We are coming to you live from the event in London, and I am your host, Colin Colburn from the IAB. In this series, we're sitting down with some of the industry's most forward-thinking leaders to unpack where commerce media is headed next. In this episode, we're diving into one of the most exciting frontiers in commerce media, which is financial services. As commerce media expands beyond retail shelves and into new ecosystems, companies like PayPal are redefining what it means to be able to connect data, audiences, and consumer value. Just last week during Advertising Week New York, PayPal announced a major step forward, the launch of its new ad network for small and medium-sized businesses, with plans to roll out in the UK in mid-2026. That move signals not just PayPal's growing presence in advertising, but the broader evolution of payments platforms as more powerful commerce media networks. Joining me to unpack all of that and more is Henry Stokes, UK Country Manager at PayPal Ads. Henry, thank you very much for coming.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
One of the things I want to talk to you about first is the terms commerce, retail media. They're often used interchangeably. IAB came out with sort of a definition of commerce media, which is a more umbrella term that really encapsulates the different verticals that exist under this idea of being able to use first-party data, proximity to the customer journey, and physical and digital assets to be able to improve the customer experience, be able to use media to help the customer. How do you think about where PayPal Ads fits into that broader ecosystem?
Thanks for the introduction there with mentioning the SMB ad network that we launched. I think that shows the ambition and the scale that this endeavor that we're doing can grow to. But I think I agree with that IAB definition, commerce media being the umbrella term, retail media, different verticals, financial services media you referenced, probably PayPal is there and fits in that. But I think what excites me about PayPal is the breadth. So there is no category that PayPal doesn't have an oversight of. I mean, whether it's travel, grocery, technology, subscriptions, everything that we're seeing transactions across all of those categories and across a huge range of retailers. So PayPal work with over 30 million retailers globally.
Wow.
So that's incredible sort of viewpoint that we have, and so while we are financial services and we absolutely are a financial payments business, I would say our advertising proposition is relevant to any merchant, any advertiser in any one of those categories.
Yeah.
Which is great, and the ads solution really is there to connect those 30 million merchants with over 430 million consumers who use PayPal at checkout. So that sort of connective tissue that ads can provide is a way for those merchants to grow their businesses.
Yeah, the scale on both sides is really incredible. When I think about retail media, sort of that subset that's really the largest, most talked about part of commerce media, it's all centered around supermarkets, big box retailers. What makes something like PayPal Ads, what makes it valuable outside of those environments, beyond just the scale of the merchants and the consumers?
I think, this sort of realization that everybody is always consuming. Everyone's always in shopping mode, right? And I only need to look at my two daughters and see that all they do for entertainment is ultimately browse and shop, much to my horror. So I think, that idea that you can find somebody in a shopping mindset in any environment is a powerful opportunity. Now, that's what PayPal has done, and we've created something called a storefront ad unit that actually enables a transaction to be made within an ad unit, wherever that ad unit is served. So it could be, across any website or any app or any sort of medium that starts to make it sort of shopping enabled. And that is a powerful opportunity for a commerce media business. When you think about our on-platform or on-site solution as well, what you've got there is even a more heightened shopping audience, who are visiting your app to discover offers, to discover the best rewards, the best merchants that have propositions at the moment. So our app is developing into being much more of a destination, and that's again a new prospect for PayPal to develop even further.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's part of that, having a digital asset that is really valuable and proximate to that overall journey that a consumer takes. When it comes to the data, the payments data that you all have, how does that data help advertisers fill in gaps or fill in holes that they might otherwise be missing?
I mean, the data that PayPal has is quite astounding, really. I mean, the foundation that we have to build an advertising business on top of is pretty rare. So, I'm really excited to see what we can do with that data. And we've only just begun that journey.
Tip of the iceberg.
Scratching the surface, yeah. But look, I mean, to bring that to life a little bit, there are certain unique components that we can draw from transaction behaviors that are very unique. Obviously there's people who've bought in certain categories or bought certain products or bought certain verticals. That's powerful on its own. But then when you add in somebody who maybe is new to a brand, hasn't shopped at a particular merchant or retailer or shop before, somebody who's maybe lapsed from that shop, people who buy high ticket items and premium items versus low ticket items, people who maybe utilize our buy now, pay later services. So these are the sort of things that I think are really unique because they, first of all, targeting somebody new to brand or somebody who's lapsed drives incrementality. And incrementality is what a lot of these merchants and retailers are after. So that's exciting. I think targeting a transaction audience, but in, let's say, a more top of funnel environment, whether it's a video ad or a CTV ad, that starts to, collapse the funnel, shrink the funnel and enables a purchase to be made from those top of funnel placements. So, that's where we're starting to get into, things like, does advertising with PayPal actually increase my market share? Because we see across merchants and across categories, we can start to actually make some modeled projections on whether the ad campaign that we've ran did actually shift the market share of that merchant versus where they were. So incredibly powerful data set that can only go from strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously with oversight over the UK, I'm curious how you think about shopping behaviors or even advertiser needs in the UK that are a little bit different than other areas of the world.
Yeah, I think we're in a really unique economic situation in the UK, really. I mean, the cost of living crisis is still really hot on people's minds. When you are delivering advertising messages or products to a consumer, you've got to be thinking about whether it's valuable to them and how they are gaining value from it. So, for example, with PayPal, we can facilitate an offer, whether it's a cashback offer, whether it's a points-based offer, whether it's some sort of discount or reward, and that is a powerful benefit to the consumer and ultimately drives that sale for the retailer as well. So making that incentive to purchase really easy to get hold of, and I think that ease is another trait that British consumers want. We've seen how solutions like Apple Pay and Google Pay have grown. So, if PayPal can make that biometric verification of a purchase really easy, and as I was mentioning before, take that purchase into an ad unit and make that literally a 2-click opportunity within an ad unit without taking you out of your browsing experience, that ease of use is something that British consumers want to see as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You hit on something that brings me back to a former role of mine when I was at Forrester. We talked a lot about how customer experiences were defined by the 3 E's: ease, effectiveness, and emotion. And you just hit on, obviously, ease and effectiveness, and the emotion piece is the thing that you opened with, which is that sort of the current state of the UK market in terms of consumer sentiment around affordability and higher prices. And if you're able to, I think you really nicely said, like, you guys are leaning in on all 3 of those angles. That's where the value exchange as a ads business, I think, plays out really nicely, because you're both serving consumers well and you're being able to serve advertisers the needs that they have too.
I think it's that sort of merging of interruption advertising as we used to sort of know it and utility. You've got to have some, core benefit to the user to be accepted. And, I think PayPal ad solution can definitely do that.
Yeah. On a personal note, what excites you most about shaping the growth trajectory of commerce media in the UK today?
What I love, personally speaking, is a bit of disruption, And so when I saw PayPal was, developing its ad business, it was an obvious choice for me to try and be part of that. But if you think about this sort of evolution, we were in a world where, third-party data was used by, so many advertisers. It wasn't great. People didn't get great experiences from it. And as a result, and potentially privacy concerns, we gravitated towards the walled gardens as ad buyers, because that was the only place we could get quality first-party data and begin to execute campaigns with any sort of effectiveness. And now you've got this entrance of businesses like PayPal, other commerce media businesses, other retail media businesses who have incredibly powerful first-party data sets. So it's now sort of for the advertising community opened up a wealth of opportunity beyond the walled gardens, where they can deliver really great campaigns in environments that are, as you say, really close to the point of purchase, or really smart about the way that they're identifying the right audience at the right time.
I couldn't agree with you more that that's what's kind of really made me lean into the retail media ecosystem over the past 10 years or so, is the disruption that it is bringing to the advertising world.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily wholly new, but it's a different spin on the way that we've been doing advertising previously in a digital context. And the other thing that I love, and I know it's not as privy to PayPal, but there's definitely a piece of this, which is the mixing of the physical with the digital, right? And really being emblematic of where consumers are at, which is not seeing the lines between physical and digital. And I think retail and commerce media does a really good job of being able to use both of those things really nicely.
And I'll say, PayPal is embracing that offline payment world as well. We've launched our debit card in Germany, in the US. It's coming to the UK soon. So, our movement beyond just online retail is in full effect.
Yeah.
So, that data set is something that we'll look forward to utilizing as well.
Well, lots of exciting things to watch with PayPal. I think 3 big takeaways from this conversation. One is that, the trove of data that you guys have, I think, is incredibly powerful. I think it's something that really can help advertisers fill in gaps in terms of really understanding that consumer journey better. I think your points on sort of the current state of the UK shopping market is something that everyone should be paying attention to, who's marketing to consumers in the UK, and really being tapped in emotionally to where that shopper is at.
Yep.
And then, you mentioned incrementality too before, and I think the importance that every commerce media network needs to be focusing on. Not just, all right, are we showcasing a return on ad spend? Are we actually making that spend incremental to the outcomes that the advertiser is looking to drive? I think that was a great point. And Henry, thank you very much for joining us today. It was a great conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.